All right, guys. So today we got a lot of stuff going on. We got the president speaking right now. The spy is almost back up here. Let's see what we got. Hopefully everybody's having a good morning today. Let me know if the sound is good. We are here. Taking a look at the 10-year Treasury yield here. Look, so the 10-year Treasury is down this morning. So look at the 10-year. Let me know if the music's too loud. But take a look at the 10-year. So the 10-year actually is down a little bit today. Here is, the last day or so. Look at this on the 10-year Treasury yield. So the 10-year Treasury yield is actually down, which means lower interest rate sentiment, higher likelihood of cuts, and let's talk about it. So the 10-year Treasury yield being down this morning is good for a lot of people that want rate cuts. Good for a lot of people that want mortgages to come down. Good in a lot of different ways. So 10-year Treasury yield is currently around 4.28%. This represents a slight easing from the high seen earlier this month. Earlier this month, we had the yield spiking all the way towards 4.5%, 4.5% after the big tariff news was announced. It was dubbed the tariff tantrum by a lot of people. Yields have pulled back. They remain pretty high, though, still. I mean, 4.28% is still pretty high for yields, to be completely honest. But they are pulling back, which is a more optimistic sign. Higher yields increase borrowing costs for companies and consumers. Lower yields reduce borrowing costs for companies and consumers. They also make government bonds less attractive and stocks more attractive. And so when yields are down, that means less people are interested in buying bonds, which means they might buy more stocks and take some more risks in that regard. Because bonds are seen as risk on or risk off assets. Like bonds are guaranteed returns. Whatever the yield is, in this case it's 4.28%, is guaranteed, versus the stock market, which obviously is not guaranteed. Nothing's guaranteed, although the average gains or yields from the stock market are generally higher per year than the average yields of treasuries. And so I hope that makes sense. Again, they're still pretty high. This might give some relief to equities, in markets. Google had a huge beat. You can see their numbers right here. They did have a huge beat. Lower yields are generally a signal for lower inflation, which is kind of what you want to see. Elevated yields generally signal expectations of higher inflation, which means it's less likely to see rate cuts. The thing to understand about yields is that higher yields means expectations of higher inflation, stronger economic growth, increased government borrowing, so forth and so on. Lower yields can indicate less worries about inflation, more likelihood that the Federal Reserve is going to cut rates. And so that's something that you want to look at as well. This could be some market adjustments, potentially rising concerns about economic slowdown caused by some of these tariff trade tensions that we're seeing. That could be why the yields are dropping as well. But again, understand in economics, higher yields translate to higher borrowing costs around the economy, including mortgages, corporate loans. It can dampen spending and investments. Lower yields are generally better for borrowing costs. And in other big tariff news today, again, yields are down. You can kind of see this. You can kind of see the SPY, which the SPY just went slightly red on the day here. If we take a look at the SPY right now, the SPY just went slightly red. Some stuff going on. Tariffs are still kind of scary right now. Earlier this month, the president declared a national fear of citing the deficit and invoked the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. A 10% baseline tariff on all U.S. imports took effect on April 5th. Higher individualized reciprocal tariffs targeting countries with large trade surpluses with the U.S. took effect April 9th. China has been going back and forth with us on tariffs. Tariffs on most goods from China, Hong Kong, and Macau were significantly increased. The reciprocal tariff rate is now at 125%. When you add the existing tariffs, it brings up to 145% with them. And so they retaliated, and now they have 125% tariffs on us. Canada and Mexico are currently exempt from the new baseline of reciprocal tariffs announced in April, but they are subject to the previously implemented 25% on non-USMCA compliant goods. On April 11th, some exclusions were announced, but the whole thing has kind of caused chaos in markets. But again, the SPY is looking better here, right? The SPY is looking better. If we take a look at the SPY right now, the SPY is up, Google up, a lot of the stuff. Here's the NASDAQ here. NASDAQ up to 4.6 or 467 on the QQQ. The NASDAQ is up to 19.3s right now. 19.3s, which is very good. Very good. Today, we don't really have any big economic data dropping at 8:30, but we do have some stuff coming out. At 10. We have the University of Michigan inflation expectations and consumer sentiment report. So yeah, Google with 40% stronger earnings per share than expected. Crazy. What's up, Faye, Krish, Beach, Harris, Pawn, Esso, Borg, Rob, S'more, Ricky, Robert, Mopar, Hustle, Sanket, Star, Yair, BT, Trey, Humble, Sam, G-Man, Matthias, Pierre. What's up, guys? Good morning. Hope you guys are doing good. Yeah, Palantir, guys. One of the strongest moves in finance. Look at Palantir. All the way back up to 108s. Where were the highs for Palantir? It's like, what, 125s, right? Yeah, 125s highs for Palantir. Palantir flying. What have I done? Yeah, so we are going to cover the Palantir news as well. Yeah, look at Palantir, guys, all the way back up to 107. There's a couple news stories that we're covering that are influencing Palantir. We do have some earnings coming out today. Nothing really big, I would say. But Google advanced over 5% in pre-market following a 2.4% increase from the previous session. Reported higher quarter one net income revenue, raised quarterly dividend. Tesla up 1% pre-bell. 3.5% up yesterday. Robinhood up 0.5%. Nvidia was 0.1% higher. Wait, where's Nvidia at? I know I see some stuff like Apple is red on the day. Nvidia is basically flat. And I'm trying to find the Palantir news. Hold on. Yeah, so Palantir went up almost 7% yesterday. Where's Gemini? There it is. Anybody hear anything about the oncoming? Why is Tesla going to do? Did they keep pumping or start dumping? What's up, Eric? What's up, Hero? All right, so Palantir is up. The biggest news this week is Palantir's partnership with Google announced yesterday on April 24th. Google Cloud Services will be integrated into Palantir's FedStart platform, aiming to deliver advanced AI solutions more efficiently to U.S. government agencies. This news popped Palantir up, causing it to surge around 6.9%. On April 17th, Palantir announced that AI company Anthropic will use their FedStart program hosted by Google Cloud. Palantir is scheduled to release its earnings on May 5th, which is going to be a chaotic one. Analysts anticipate strong year-over-year growth. EPS expected at 8 to 13 cents and revenue at $864 million. So, May 5th. 5th. So that is not this week. That is Monday next week. I'm assuming it's going to be in the evening for Palantir. But we'll cover that for sure. But yeah, Palantir flying up. Nvidia not really that green. Look at Apple. Apple a little red. Again, bond yields are down. 10-year Treasury yield right here at 4.8. Apple at 206.10s. I have a G. It's like a G9 or something like that. G7, 49-inch ultra wide. Intel dived down yesterday. Look at Intel. So Intel had earnings, and they certainly did not favorably react. Intel all the way down to under 20 at 19.9s, man. Yeah, and honestly, they had pushed up a little bit leading into their earnings, and I think they actually had some beats, but it wasn't the biggest. Tesla, on the other hand, if we take a look at Tesla here, is still technically green on the day. Here's Tesla at 261.30s, 261.30s. Now, the president did speak a little bit. So president did speak a little bit this morning. And just to talk about this, so a couple things to talk about here in terms of market news, right? So the president did speak a little bit this morning. Now, the things that he spoke about, he said that the Chinese President Xi has called him in an interview with Time Magazine. This was on April 22nd, so this was on Tuesday. He said that the Chinese President Xi has called him, and so that's optimistic. He said that he was not worried during the April bond market stress in an interview with Time Magazine on April 22nd. He said some stuff about overseas policy in terms of conflict policies overseas, and I don't see anything else here. I do see MU is going to be filing for an offering of $500 million of 6.56%, 6.65%. I'm looking at any other news. I know he said he spoke. Let me make sure. Let me confirm when he spoke here. Again, I'm still taking a look at bond yields. Look at bond yields decreasing here, down to 4.286%. We can take a look at gold. Let me make myself a little bit smaller here. I'm like a giant right now. Let me take a look at gold and see that like gold is diving down this morning, and maybe some market optimism. So gold is coming down as some market optimism is here. And so that's good. The NASDAQ still falling a little bit here. But I would say a little bit more optimistic in the NASDAQ. You see the QQQ slightly red. You can see the SPY slightly red after pretty green days for everything yesterday. Yeah, Palantir, I'm excited for it. We're going to cover it. So yeah, bond yields are up. There's a couple things to talk about here, like we always talk about. Again, Palantir with big news yesterday. They are flying back up. A couple other things, though. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. So NASDAQ Composite went up 2.79%, closing at 19.3 yesterday. S&P up 2% plus at 2.03%, over 5,500. Dow Jones closed over 40,000 yesterday. We had some volatility earlier after China denied reports of renewed trade talks with the White House had hinted at. The Dixie edged slightly higher, still not over 100 for the dollar index. If we take a look at the Dixie here, still not over 100, so it's still below 100, but it's getting closer. Here's $100 on the Dixie, the dollar right here at 100, and the Dixie is just an index that compares the dollar to all the other currencies. Crude prices saw marginal gains, 63 a barrel, still down huge for crude. Taking a look at crude, we're at 61.80s here. 61.80s. And something I was thinking, I wanted to get a touch screen that I could do stuff on. I'd have to figure out how to make that work here. But I feel like I might be able to. So I'm thinking about getting a touch screen. I'd have to think about where I can put this in my office, though. I'd have to carve out some space. But we'll figure it out. But yeah, crude prices still 63 a barrel, a little bit lower this morning. They closed at about 63. They're at 61 now, still falling down for crude. Yeah, so the beige book. So we did have the Fed beige book, noted persuasive uncertainty due to trade policy across all districts. Hiring has slowed as firms adopt a wait-and-see approach through labor availability has improved somewhat. Businesses expect past tariff-related cost increases to consumers. We got consumer sentiment today by the University of Michigan. This is at 10 a.m. We're going to cover this live as it drops, as we always do. But consumer sentiment has fell to new lows not seen since the early 1980s, reflecting deep concern about these tariffs. The tariff news is still causing fear in markets. And again, if we take a look at the NASDAQ this morning, NASDAQ is slightly red this morning, slightly red. GDP forecasts have been cut. Now, we did have the Fed now GDP drop yesterday afternoon. I think it was yesterday afternoon. Let me check. Yeah, so so this is something I didn't realize happened. So the Atlanta Fed GDP now, let's find this. The Atlanta Fed GDP now decreased here. So taking a look at this. All right, as of April 24th, per the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta, they released this report, and the whole point of this is to give you guys a rolling estimate of what GDP is going to come in at. A rolling estimate of what GDP is going to come in at. Previously, this was 2.2%. If you take y'all can see this, right? Let me make sure. Yeah, previously this was 2.2%. As of now, this is 2.5% negative. Again, previously it was negative 2.2. Now it's all the way down to negative 2.5%. And it kind of shows the impact that these tariffs are having on sentiment regarding GDP, regarding economic pressures. A lot of people are fearing from, this is the second time I've seen the Fed GDP now decrease, coming in lower than expected. You can read this here. It says the GDP now model estimates for real GDP growth seasonally adjusted annual in the first quarter of 2025 is minus 2.5% on April 24th, down from minus 2.2% on April 17th. Now remember, this is for January through March. And next week we actually have the GDP report for quarter 1 2025 GDP on Wednesday. I think it's on Wednesday. And so again, first quarter 2025, minus 2.5% on April 24th, down from minus 2.2% on April 17th. The alternative model forecast, which adjusts imports, exports of gold, is described here as minus 0.4% after recent releases from the U.S. Census Bureau and the National Association of Realtors. Both standard models and the alternative models now forecast a first quarter real gross domestic investment growth decrease from 8.9 to 7.1%. The next one is Tuesday, April 29th. But you can kind of see this graph here. And this is a scary graph, right? This is a scary graph when we take a look at it here, looking deeper into this, you know, this graph right here is a scary one. Like the tariff impact of everything is not small. Like look at this graph. So you can see where the Atlanta Fed GDP path has gone here. Let me find my scroller. Where's it at? Where's my little drawing tool, bro? Oh, there it is. Yeah, so here is the initial decrease. Look at this. So it has dropped here, back up, down, back up, down. So it was worse around the end of March, but it's still not really looking good. You can see the gold adjusted GDP here, looking at a very similar trend. Blue chip consensus is looking a little bit better though, but yeah, something to pay attention to. People are still fearing economic weakness, and you know, it's a relevant topic right now in markets for sure. Relevant topic. Again, we got Palantir stock just absolutely flying right now. We can get this out the way and put our yields back up. And again, look at PLTR. So PLTR coming back down. You can see the previous closing price right here. It's at 107.70s for PLTR, 107.70s. So we're watching that also here. Catch it back up on the chat. Yeah, he was speaking around. I don't see that he said anything. I'm looking to see if the president spoke this morning. Yeah, I don't know if I asked AI, which of course is a little bit limited. Yeah, I don't see him speaking today. I think a lot of the quotes that came out earlier from the president were from they were looking back on Wednesdays, or maybe this was Tuesdays. Yeah, they were looking back on Tuesday where he did an interview with Time magazine on April 22nd. So most of the quotes that came out this morning, again, he talked about he had spoken with China's president in an interview with Time magazine on April 22nd. He said that the China president had called him, believe it or not, which is different than what they're saying. So it's hard to figure out what to believe here, right? A little bit different than what they're saying. He said Crimea will be staying with Russia. He said he was not worried during the April bond market stress in an interview with Time magazine on April 22nd. So a lot of these quotes are coming out in, you know, interviews and stuff like that that were on Tuesday. So, yeah. And other stuff, we got Canadian retail sales this morning. Canadian retail sales. We've got Michigan inflation expectations and sentiment here. That's worth watching. Yeah, it's hard to figure out what to believe with stuff like this too. Again, we had AbbVie just report earnings. So AbbVie just came out with earnings. I'll put these up in chat right here. Here's AbbVie. We got HCA, quarter one, 645s, HCA Healthcare. We got some other stuff too, but we don't really have any big earnings. Fridays, unless it's like bank earnings, are usually pretty slow for earnings, but I'll put those up in the chat. So Geneva-based trade official says WTO's dispute settlement body agreed to request from China for establishment of panel to review the EU's imposition of countervailing duties on new battery EV from China. And so here's some overseas news that might influence things right there. You can see Geneva-based trade official says WTO dispute settlement body agreed to request from China for establishment of panel to review EU's imposition of countervailing duties on new battery EVs from China. That news just came out. And yeah, we will see what else we get today. Yeah, today we got the University of Michigan consumer sentiment report. It's expected at 50.8. 50.8. We also have 1 and 5 year inflation expectations. Now, this is the scary thing, I think, for these inflation expectations. All right, so the University of Michigan, 2 times a month, they release both consumer sentiment, consumer expectations, 1 and 5 year inflation expectations. Okay, these happen twice a month. You get prelim data, and then you get finalized data from the University of Michigan. Today, we get the finalized data. Okay, so last time they showed all the way up. Let me make sure that, yeah, this is the previous one. So last time, these inflation expectations is what I'm looking at, showed up at 5% for 1 year and 4.1% for 5 year inflation expectations. They are expecting these numbers to increase from 5% for the 1 year inflation expectations by the University of Michigan to 6.7%. 6.7%. They are expecting 5 year inflation expectations to go up from 4.1% to 4.4% 5 year inflation expectations. We also are expecting a decrease in consumer sentiment. They're expecting a decrease. Last time, consumer sentiment for April came in at 57. Today, they're expecting 50.8. 50.8. So, weaker forecast in both inflation, higher inflation forecasted, as well as weaker consumer sentiment. And again, I think a lot of people are going to be talking about stagflation with this report. Now, we did see bond yields, they are decreasing some here. So here's bond yields. I'm talking about bond yields a lot because this is interest rate sentiment. I think in order to have a lower interest rate sentiment, we need inflation to be under control. And we don't really get another big inflation report, to be honest, until we get PCE next week, which is big. For some reason, they're consolidating every major economic report to next week. Next week, we got every single freaking major economic report. And then we got non-farm payrolls and unemployment. The week after that, I think we have the FOMC meeting. And then the week after that, we have inflation. So, a lot of stuff going on in terms of finance. Again, the week of May 5th, I think it's the Fed meeting week too. Yeah, so the Fed meeting is on Wednesday, May 7th. We got ISM manufacturing data, or ISM services data at 10. Thursday, we got jobless claims. We'll see if this updates. A nice TGS. Why does Michigan and Atlanta think they're so important? Well, it would be THEIR, number one. But also, actually, no, you're wrong. I'm dumb. You're smart. I mean, you used the wrong one as well. It actually wouldn't be THEAR. It would be THEY apostrophe RE. There. Sorry, English, yeah. But no, so what you're missing out on this. So somebody said, why does Atlanta and the University of Michigan think they're so important? It's not that this data is pulled from those states. Okay, it's not like GDP is only in Atlanta or the consumer sentiment is only from Michigan data, right? This is not Michigan only consumer sentiment. This is not Michigan only inflation expectations. This is the University of Michigan College extracting this data for everybody around the entire United States, for around the entire U.S., right? So this is not just Michigan inflation worries. This is the country's inflation worries. It's not just Atlanta's GDP. This is the country's GDP. And so it's just the University of Michigan is the one pulling the data, compiling the data for us. And so, yeah, it's pretty relevant. I mean, the University of Michigan data has moved markets in the last couple months. And I think especially in the landscape of what's going on with tariffs, it makes it a little bit more important, a little bit more relevant. Now, again, here's Palantir. We got the NASDAQ rising. Have you seen Bitcoin? Yeah, so I've looked at Bitcoin this morning already. So Bitcoin is up to almost 100,000. It's over 95K right now, and Bitcoin has been flying up. Nvidia is actually a little weak, though. It had a pretty strong day yesterday, but look at Bitcoin. So Bitcoin has flown up to over 95K. So look at Bitcoin. Again, Bitcoin futures at 95.225 thousand. 95.225 thousand. So over 95K for Bitcoin futures. Tesla over 260. Nvidia over 106, which is good. SPY over 540s. What's up, Danny? Yeah, I mean, there's going to be some differences in like futures of Bitcoin. Like I'm looking at Bitcoin futures right now. There's going to be some spread between Bitcoin futures and actual Bitcoin price depending on where you look. All right, guys. Yeah, we got bond yields. I'm seeing they're cutting off the screen. There we go. Sorry, my wife came in here. 95,000 plus for Bitcoin. Look at Bitcoin right here. Let me put myself somewhere where I'm not as in the way here. Put myself down here, maybe. Yeah, there we go. Did get bond yields down, which is good. And look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin testing highs of the day at 95.410s. So Bitcoin's still rising. I'm down 400 on my funded account. Do I take a break from trading or buy a new account or just keep trading? All right, guys. So I'm looking at Netflix. Netflix still at about 1,100. And the thing about Netflix that I like, and again, I'm not an investment professional. You guys know me. I might have no freaking idea what I'm talking about. Be wildly wrong about anything and everything I say. Do not copy me. I'm not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose money. Always make your own assessment. Trade responsibly. Everything here is my own personal subjective opinion, and I can't guarantee anything. Definitely not a professional investor. Do not copy me. If you copy me, you might lose. Don't do it. All right, that's all I'm saying. With that said, though, Netflix, guys. Honestly, I thought Netflix might go up. And, you know, Netflix has had one of the strongest years in all of tech. Look at Netflix. Netflix just broke. Is this all-time highs? I think it is. Netflix is breaking all-time highs right now. In a period of market in which the market is still down, what, like 10+% relative to highs? Netflix is breaking all-time highs. And again, Netflix, this is something I talked about a couple weeks ago. Live sports is a game changer for Netflix. It really is. Like, Netflix getting into live sports is huge. Like, this is absolutely massive for Netflix. Them getting into live sports, they're talking about rumors of them getting implemented, or them doing a deal with the UFC for live fights. They already did, like, Tyson, Jake Paul. And overall, I just think this is a really good thing for Netflix. I think Netflix is going to get into live sports. Everybody already has them. It's just going to boost the amount of people that want to subscribe to Netflix more and more and more. And with that said, look at Netflix. Today breaking all-time highs up there. Their earnings were, what, a week or so ago? So their earnings weren't even this week. They were last week. Netflix killing it. Just flying up here. Just making huge, huge moves. Yeah, people hold their. I've never canceled Netflix. Like, I watch it too much, you know, to be honest. And I've always talked about it. Like I said this years ago, I like Netflix's content. Like, Netflix's movies are good. They're good enough for me to watch them for free. I'll put it that way. And I love documentaries, and Netflix has had some good stuff come out. Like, some good stuff. And so I think Netflix is going to keep growing. I think Netflix is going to keep growing, keep pushing. I think they're going to continue to do well. And, yeah. All right, guys, something that we're seeing here. Again, I'm looking at the 10-year Treasury yields. And again, the big story of the day, the reason I have this up on my chart is because look at Treasury yields. They are down today. This is the 10-year. Top 3 greatest lettering of all time ever in the world right there. Look at that. Netflix breaking highs. Palantir on a monster run. And again, Palantir has done some pretty good deals. They've had some pretty good stuff. Like, Palantir is up. We talked about why Palantir is up. Palantir is up. My daughter's sick right now. My wife just came in here saying she's running a fever. Bro, this is what I don't understand. How does she get sick? I haven't been sick in years. And I train jiu-jitsu like 4 times a week. How is she not sick? Or how is she sick and I'm not? Yeah, so Palantir, let's talk about the Palantir news. Let me find it. Yeah, so Palantir had a Google Cloud partnership in stock search. The biggest news this week is Palantir's strategic partnership with Google Cloud announced yesterday. Google Cloud services will be integrated into their FedStart platform. So this is the big news. We'll put this up on screen. I appreciate it, guys. Yeah, I'm definitely not sick at all. At least I don't think I am. Who knows, though? You never freaking know. But again, NVIDIA now technically green, so NVIDIA has popped up. NVIDIA up to 106s. You can see the previous closing prices right here. So here's the previous close. And you can see it's pushing up over this previous close level. So technically, NVIDIA is now green on the day. And this is after, like, if we look at a 30-minute chart here, NVIDIA went all the way up to 116s on the 11th, fell all the way down to 95, back up to 106, 107s. So NVIDIA is doing better. Again, it's not as good as Palantir, of course. Palantir just rising up, hit 84s all the way back up to 110s for Palantir. Flying up, Bitcoin up to 95.5s. So Bitcoin's still making a push towards 100K. And I'm wondering if that 100K level is going to be like a magnet here. I really do. Yeah, so we put the Palantir news up. Should I make it more opaque? Like this. Yeah, I think that's a little bit better. Or less opaque, I should say. Yeah, the 10-year down. Something to watch it. Again, we have a couple hours until, we got about 2 hours until the University of Michigan data comes out. We had a pretty good day yesterday, too. I think we ended up making like a couple $100 trading. You know, what's interesting is like, look, I pull up my my chart here. And like, look at the chart. Like, I pull this chart up. And like, my level's still holding right here too. Look, it literally bounced right off of it. I have to think about what levels are at. Like, we're above. So I think, yeah, let me pull this out so it's not cutting off my 10-year Treasury thing. What do we got? 225 right here. $50s right there. 40. So we're watching futures. Again, there's Nvidia. Bitcoin 100K. I want to see crazy volume today. We'll see, guys. We'll see. Do I do a poll? I don't think I did a poll. Definitely top 3 writers ever in the world right now. Is the bull market back? Or do we reverse down next week? Bull market back. Reverse down. Chop City. That's the poll right now. You asked for a sideways option. You're welcome. I'm the giver here. And you're welcome. Can you explain the PDT rule for trading? PDT rule stands for the pattern day trading rule. It says that if you have less than, it says if you have less than $25,000 in a margin account, you can only day trade 3 times per rolling 5-day period. It essentially restricts you from day trading actively if you have less than $25,000 in equity in your account, in a margin account. It's an absolutely ridiculous rule that honestly makes trading a lot worse. Imagine, like, the PDT rule is this, okay? Imagine you want to drive a car, but you don't know how to drive a car, right? And imagine the regulatory body of cars, not the movie, maybe the movie. Imagine they are like, hey, look, you cannot drive unless you drive this Rolls Royce right here, okay? If you have anything less than a Rolls Royce, you're not allowed to drive. We're going to restrict you from driving, you know? And so a lot of people are just going to say, screw it, I'm not driving at all. This is the best analogy you could have for this. A lot of people are going to say, screw it, I'm not going to drive at all. You know, or they're going to try to get around this rule by driving like a scooter or something like that, which are allowed for some reason. But some people are going to go ahead and buy a Rolls Royce so they can drive and then crash it the very next day, right? That is the equivalent of forcing a brand new trader who has no idea how to day trade to day trade with $25,000 if they want to day trade actively. It makes no sense. Absolutely no sense. All it's really doing is allowing the bank to sit on your money longer and earn more interest off your dollars. That's what it's doing. It's not helping new traders at all. And I know I'm going to hear people that are like, yo, trade a cash account. Like, just trade a cash account, bruh. A cash account you can't short. You can only go long. You have to wait at least 24 hours for your funds to settle. Meaning if you have $1,000, if you have 1,000 shares of a $1 stock, you got $1,000. And you spend 700 of those dollars, you got to wait 24 hours in one trade to get that $700 back. And so basically, you're still severely restricted from day trading. It just makes no sense. It's stupid. It's dumb. It's one of the dumbest rules out there. I don't even know why they have this rule. It's nonsensical. And it ends up hurting people because you got a lot of people that end up saving up 25 grand so they can actively day trade. And no new trader has any type of risk management skills whatsoever. Almost all new traders are going to lose. And so making a new trader save up 25 grand and day trading with that is just dumb, just nonsensical. If you do more than 3 trades, they freeze your account for 90 days. Sometimes they freeze it forever. You're not going to get your money back. Yeah, the first time they warned you. The second time they ban you. Again, that's one of the best analogies ever. It's like, hey, listen, you want to drive? No, you can't drive a Honda. You got to drive a Rolls Royce, you know? And it makes no sense, right? It makes no sense. On Hood, they don't freeze your account. You just can't day trade anymore until the next month. That sounds like freezing it to me. Yeah, I told you, people are going to say cash account. Cash accounts, severely restricted. Severely restricted. It's just nonsensical. I just don't understand it. It makes no freaking sense whatsoever, dude. No sense. We're going to keep Palantir on the chart up here. And then we'll put this little baby window here. Again, look at 10-year treasuries. Bullish SPY today? Hey, we'll see, bro. We'll see. Great analogy and definitely the dumbest rule. It's the dumbest freaking rule of all time. It's completely nonsensical. It makes no sense whatsoever. And again, they've had it for a while. I don't know how in the world they can justify it. Like, oh, you're helping new traders, bro. Like, how? How are you helping new traders? You know how much variance there is in day trading? Seriously, you know how much variance there is in day trading? Saying, hey, new traders, you can only day trade 3 times a week. Like, that's going to help them. Like, bro, that's going to make the variance worse, not better. That's going to make the swings bigger, not smaller. That's going to make them take larger size per trade. You know? It's just, it makes no sense. That's dumb. It doesn't even fit with like, they justify it by saying, oh, we got to protect people. It's like, nah, bro. They want to sit on your money a little bit longer. And so they're going to say, hey, guys, if you deposit money with us, we're gonna make you wait at 24 hours for it to settle. You know, like that's what they want. They want to sit on your money just a little bit longer so they can earn a little bit more interest. Use it for other things. All right, we got a very sideways choppy action too into the market right now. Very sideways chop. Definitely top 3 analogies of all time ever in the world. Yeah, you can only day trade 3 times per rolling 5-day period. All right, guys, look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin's still flying up. Bitcoin up to 95.78. Look at this Bitcoin move. All the way back up here. So Bitcoin's making some moves. All right, so Colgate-Palmolive, I can't even pronounce this, expects tariffs to have an incremental gross impact of around $200 million to the cost of goods sold in 2025. So we also have this news coming out today. Let's see if we got anything else. Taking a look at a stock heat map right now. Let's take a look. So most things are still slightly green. Hold on, does it say? I'm wondering if this isn't upgraded yet. Come on, heat map. Yeah, most things are up right now. I thought there was a heat map. Let me see. All right, so here's a stock heat map to take a look at everything going on in finance right now. Again, here's a heat map of everything going on. Where's my, there it is, make sure you guys can see it. It's honestly a pretty flat market. We're honestly pretty flat down the middle. Like, look, everything's pretty much gray. I'm looking at Amazon. Yeah, Amazon's slightly green. Meta slightly green. Although Meta flew up. Dude, I hope I'm okay, bro. Like, I kind of feel like my nose is a little stopped up. I swear, bro, I have made it all the way through flu season. When is it over? It's over in May, bro. I got freaking 5 days, dude. Yeah, so I'm looking at most things. Finance stocks are kind of down. I'm looking at JP Morgan. A lot of them are up overnight, though. Nvidia bounces back some here. Again, Bitcoin has been rising. Palantir, another big story. I guess I'm going to try to short this right here, right? Attack some chop. We'll get in 2 contracts here. Started small, 2 contracts into the morning. Now we took half off there, locked it in. There we go. Go get out the rest right there. Nice little baby trade of $30. We'll take it. Looking to retrace down to this 19,250 level. Green is good. Green is good. Disney? Yeah, I usually like buying Disney every time it hits 90. The reason I'm not buying it right now, though, is because of the stuff that, like, I'm just nervous regarding, you know, profits for them. I don't know when their earnings are either. And so I don't really want to buy it up at pre-earnings. I'd rather buy it post-earnings and see what happens depending on what they get in terms of reactions in markets. Sorry if I'm repeating this point here. I'm late. What's the case with bond yields? Is this considered to be a big fall? So bond yields are relevant. I'm just kind of putting those on my charts. There's a few reasons I'm doing this. I think it's important to watch bond yields because bond yields influence the economy. They influence the market. They influence sentiment. And so bond yields pulling back, they're still pretty high. Lower yields decrease borrowing costs for companies and consumers. Lower yields make bonds less attractive and stocks more attractive, right? Because bonds are seen as safe haven or risk off assets because it's guaranteed returns, right? Like you can earn 4.284% from bonds right now. And so it's guaranteed returns. And so when bond yields decrease, that generally is a little bit more supportive of the stock market and finance like equities. And so that's kind of what we're watching bond yields for. Elevated yields generally signal expectations of higher inflation, stronger economic growth, or increased borrowing. Lower yields can signal more of a need to cut rates by the Federal Reserve. It can mean weaker economics and weaker data coming out. And we saw the Fed GDP now from Atlanta come in at minus 2.5%. Last time it was minus 2.2%. So they did decrease GDP, showing economic potential weakness. The recent spike in bond yields was influenced by uncertainty and inflationary impact of tariffs, most likely. And so Yeah, but bond yields decreasing today. So the overnight they're decreasing shows more optimism in stocks, more fear in the economy, but more optimism in stocks is kind of what it shows. You know, and again, overnight, last night, we'll talk about it again. NASDAQ went up almost 3%, closed over 19.3, still down a little bit relative to that, but that did happen. S&P up over 2%, finished over 5,500. Dow Jones over 40,000, up 1.23%. The dollar index still is a little bit of a struggle here. If we take a look at the Dixie, still not over 100, but it's getting close, right? A lot of people were fearful that the dollar was breaking down, and so yeah, that's basically what's been going on in finance and markets. And again, look at this spike in equities. Look at the NASDAQ start to spike up here. Yeah, I know Bitcoin futures is not Bitcoin, but you also have to understand that the price of Bitcoin, you're talking about accuracy. The price of Bitcoin is not a specific price. It's a varied price, meaning there is a different price depending on where you look. And I use Bitcoin futures because it's kind of sometimes it leads a little bit, but it's still very relevant for crypto, and it gives me like a one price object. If I look at Coinbase's Bitcoin price, there's going to be a spread a lot of the time. And so to be honest, you know, it's all good, but it seems like just trying to find a reason to, you know, so what I understand is that we can assume the uncertainty is reducing and sentiments are more bullish, expecting the markets to recover at some point from now, or maybe not immediately though, but soon. I don't know. Maybe. Lower bond yields can signal economic weakness as well. I'm going to short this. We already got a cushion. We're going to see if we come back down. I'm kind of shorting into support though. I don't know if I might change my tune here on this. I got out flat. I changed my mind. We got this support level right here, which actually has confirmed a couple different times. So I just don't want to get stuck in it. No, we don't have any 8:30 news. Not really. Here, we got 19.3s right here, though. I will short 19.3s if we get a 200 EMA rejection. There we go. We'll try to add to this. Well, I'm trying to take larger size in this account. We made hundreds on this thing yesterday. I'm going to plan to add up to 3 contracts to this. We need a little bit of a pop-up, which we might not get, and that's okay. I never really got anything. Oh, well. We're just going to get out. I mean, we made a little $20 bill there. Might as well take it, but we didn't quite get the add spot. I wanted to add a little bit higher, but it's all right. So, not too bad, though. Yeah, we're kind of grinding our account up. Yeah, Bitcoin futures up to almost 96K. 96K. Yeah, I mean, it's all good. I mean, listen, 5 to 700, you know. I'm just looking at Bitcoin futures because it's easier. I mean, we could watch actual Bitcoin too. But again, that's going to vary depending on where you look. And yes, it leads it a little bit. And that's all good. I'm specifying that it's Bitcoin futures. And so, I mean, it'll be okay. It'll be all right. All right, so look at that retracement in the NASDAQ here, guys. Wow. Look at this retracement down. And again, it's all good. It's all good. Tie. Whoa, something happened. Let me make sure we're finding some news here. Let's see if there's any breaking news right now. All right, the Chinese embassy says the U.S. should stop creating confusion. It says China and the U.S. not having any talks on tariffs, according to the Chinese embassy. Yeah, so again, the news is that the U.S. should stop creating confusion, according to the Chinese embassy. China and the U.S. have, the U.S. not having any talks on tariffs. Markets are reacting to this as well, for sure. Look at the negative reaction quickly to this. Wow. China and the U.S. not having any talks on tariffs, according to the Chinese embassy, adds that the U.S. should stop creating confusion. And again, this is probably what's influencing markets. Probably. All right, so again, this is definitely causing some pessimism. Look at this turnaround. Again, the news just came out. China and the U.S. not having any talks on tariffs. We'll put this up on screen. NASDAQ's coming down here, chat. NASDAQ's coming down. Wow. Hey, nice healing. Congrats, bro. Congrats. That's good. See, look, we're tapping this 250 level here in Charty. Look at that 250 level hold. And honestly, my system has been very good since, like, I think people could tell about a month ago I changed systems. And I started building the support and resistance based system. And, honestly, it's just been very good, very good. Like, look. Like, here's one account last week. And I got a couple green accounts. They're both green in finance here. But, like, look. I'll show you. I'll just go ahead and show you the actual profit. So, here's this account this past week. We made about $600 last week. We have had, and they're pretty good green days, too. I mean, they're not huge. Some days are small. You know what I mean? But here's the last 5 trading days in this account. Like, look at it. So, like, we're doing pretty good. Like, honestly, the system that I've built around support and resistance, it's the system I have been the most confident in since I started day trading. Honestly, it's the system I've been the most confident in since I started day trading. And again, we're going to keep trying to build it up. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. I don't know if it's the top 3 systems in the world. I don't freaking know. Again, I'm not an investment professional. I can't guarantee a freaking thing. But it's been making me money, man. It's been making me money. And again, the system goes like this. Look at this breakdown here, though. So we're breaking under 250. The system goes like this, guys. Like, look, I'll talk about it. So I build up a profit. Like here, $40, $50, $40, $50, $40, $50. If I can do that, I take a little bit more risk on those days. If I fail, I make a small green day and I'll wait for the next day. If I succeed at that, I have much larger gains. So my risk is limited. When I lose or you know, when scaling up doesn't work, I'm back to kind of break even, flat, small little green days. But when it does work, big green days, right? That's the system. Now we're basing them around support and resistance because, again, like, look, here's basically what I look for. I look for extension on one side. Like you can see, I shorted into this level here. Extension on one side. And then if we get a decent pullback, more extension, and I attack different levels. Like here's 250. You could get a small bounce. That looks like a trade I would take. You know, again, we just shorted up here as we got closer to this big level here. Wrote it down really quickly. And so we just attack different levels, especially in favorable markets. It can make some money. But again, it can't guarantee anything. Not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose. Always make your own assessment. Trade smart. Bitcoin futures and Bitcoin overall pulling back a little bit now. Bitcoin futures at 95.2s. I'm curious to see where yields are going here. When 10-year yields open up, I will add them to the chart. Yeah, so 10-year yields are open. Look at them open up down at their 4.27%, 4.27. How do you determine your levels? Oh, there's a mix of a lot of different things. I look at confirmations, milestones, isolations. Do we have any correlation between Bitcoin futures and the Dow E-mini or U.S. markets in general? I mean, there's some correlation. It's not the best, like, perfect correlation, but there's some, right? There's some. Bitcoin in general can move with macro in finance. It's not always perfect, but it can move in macro with finance, right? It doesn't always, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't always, but yeah. Again, yield's still down. Here's a 5-day chart of yields. All right, so look, we're going back up to this 280 level. Here's the thing, though. Like, it almost seems like China is just trying to make us look bad. Like, they're just going for a battle. Like, if what he said was true and he talked to them on the 22nd, or that they've called each other, I don't know. I just feel like they should both try to work together. Both got to put their pride aside and try to work together. And I do believe a deal will eventually get done. Like, I do believe a deal will eventually get done. All right, so look up. We tapped that 280 level that we have on our chart, but it looks like we might almost break past this spot. And again, I'm putting gold up here too. Look at gold. We got Palantir still consolidating. Look at the previous closing price. So if you're not watching the previous close, you're missing out on a pretty big level here. Like, look, here's the previous closing price. Previous closing price. Yeah, we don't really have any data come out. We didn't really have any data come out at 8:30 or anything. Kind of chopping sideways in this market right now, though. So Apple came out with saying that they will the iPhones will cost more. CEOs warned it as a plan to neuter tariffs. So I'm reading an article that says Apple is squarely in the middle of the trade battle that's going on, but it does have plans to avoid big spikes in iPhone costs and prices. Verizon and AT&T warned this week that they could pass on any increase in handset prices resulting from tariffs to consumers, which obviously is a blow to Apple, coming on top of a weak sales cycle for the iPhone 16 last year. The current administration has temporarily exempted smartphones, computers, and other items from the current 145% duties. However, chips and electronics are expected to be targeted under a new sector tariff that will be announced in the coming weeks. So yeah, Pawn's talking about it. The PDT rule is like if you were learning how to drive, and while you were learning how to drive, they said, hey, you can only drive a manual semi-truck, a manual 18-wheeler for your first ever, right? It honestly might help them drive better, so that might not be the best analogy. Because I feel like if you could drive a manual 18-wheeler or semi-truck, and listen, I'm from Louisiana. We call them 18-wheelers there. We don't call them semi-trucks. We call them 18. Do you call them 18-wheelers, semi-trucks, or something else? Let me know. We almost universally in Louisiana call them 18-wheelers for some reason. But yeah, the point remains. You're not going to learn on a freaking Rolls Royce. You're not going to learn on an 18-wheeler. You're going to learn on a freaking Honda or a beat-up truck. I learned in a beat-up truck. Top 3 predictors. Tractor trailer. Big rig. Yeah. Yeah, we call them 18-wheelers. Yeah, 18-wheeler for sure. Optimus Prime. Do you guys think Disney stock is a buy right now? Yeah, I learned to drive on a 5-speed. Yeah, I went to Louisiana for Easter, and I got to drive a 250 dirt bike. It was fun. Yeah, honestly, what do you guys think about Disney here? Let's take a look. So Disney at 108.40s. 108.40s. Oh, no, that's Palantir. Duh. I'm sorry. Disney right at $90 a share. I'm sorry. Disney at 90. Honestly, it had a good day yesterday. And honestly, so historically, I've bought Disney a lot. Right, and I'll show you guys why. So historically, Disney usually has this very specific range that it stays in. I've had some great swing trades. Disney dips down to $80 or $90. Look at this 80 level here. 90 level here. 80 level here. 90 level here. 80 level here. Historically, I have attacked this type of move over and over and over and over again. Because typically it dips down to $80, $90, rebounds back up to about 120 is the top of the range that I'll attack. I'll usually buy it at 80 to 90, ride it up to 115, 120, cut it close to 115, 120. And that has been incredibly consistent. Look at this. Now, it's back down to $90 again. The question is, do you guys think it's a cheap buy right here? Do you guys think it's time to buy Disney right here? I tend to like Disney. They got Star Wars. They got all kind of stuff. They own a lot of intellectual properties that are valuable. They own superheroes and Star Wars. That's a huge fan base. A huge fan base. Superheroes to Star Wars. They kind of own the UFC to a certain extent. Okay, Robert, why do you keep asking that? No, it's not. It's just you. It ain't me. Whew. Again, Apple kind of weak today, though. Apple's actually pretty red on the day. It closed at 208s. It had a huge day yesterday, though, so you can't really hold it too much. But it's all the way back down to 205s for Apple. Amazon, technically green on the day, too. If we take a look at Amazon here. Amazon at 187.20s. 187.20s. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't own DC, but it owns Marvel. But let's be real here. DC has been utter crap for the last 20 years, 30 years. The last time DC had a good movie was the Dark Knight trilogy. And those are some of the greatest superhero movies ever made, for sure. But that was 15 years ago. Yeah. New Superman. I might watch it. I like Batman, bro. Batman was always my superhero growing up. I liked Batman and Ninja Turtles. Was like my, you know, if I really had to like gang up with a superhero, it was gonna be Batman or the Ninja Turtles. Ninja Turtles I was really about more than anything. I didn't really get into superhero, or I didn't really get into like Superman. I didn't really get into Marvel that much. I liked X-Men. But X-Men movies have just been diluted to a point in which I'm not super interested in them either. And honestly, my son's not really that into superheroes. Like, he's not really a superhero kid. Yeah, Andre, you're promoting a scam. I'm going to go ahead and put you in timeout for 5 minutes, just in case you didn't mean to and you were genuinely asking, but it's actually much more probable that Andre here is a bot. So do not listen to what he says. Yeah, do not listen to what he says. It's actually much more probable that Andre is a bot. So, yeah. He's almost certainly a bot, but I digress. The point, it's okay. Yeah, no. He's almost certainly a crypto bot. Bitcoin's still pushing up, though. Yeah, but man, my daughter's... my wife said my daughter is sick this morning. Just what I freaking need, man. Honestly, my nose is kind of stopped up today, but I'm hoping it's just acid reflux. I ate like a Chipotle bowl before I went to bed last night. Maybe that's what it is. But yeah, China, man. The big news that just came out is China related. China says it's not having any tariff talks with the U.S. and the U.S. should stop creating confusion. And honestly, you could see what the impact of the NASDAQ was. Like, that news came out right here. And we had this huge candle all the way down to my level here. And then pretty quickly retraced back up, dipped back down, and then came right back up. So we're very flat. This level seems to be like a line in the sand here. All right, so Nvidia is still green, slightly green on the day. Palantir, a big story. We got 45 minutes until the market opens. 45 minutes. Yeah, it's all good. No, Carol's fine, I think. Yeah, so Trump said on the 22nd with a Time magazine article that the Chinese president had called him. Now, if it's true or not, who knows? But that's what he said as of April 22nd, which was Tuesday. So that's kind of the big news coming out today. But again, they came out this morning with the news that you can see rolling on the top of the screen here, which is that according to the Chinese embassy, China and the U.S. are not having talks on tariffs. Do I want to short this? I kind of do. All right, I'll try. I'll take 2 contracts here. Take half off immediately there because we can, and then maybe add some more to this. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and take half off here and just lock that in. We've already got a $10 cushion on the day, so we're about flat. All right, so we're out. We made another $20 there from that trade. I'll take it. Yeah, I'll take another little $20 bill from this trade. Pretty good on the day, honestly. Pretty good. What's my stats here? Yeah, I'm kind of feeling a little nauseous. That's what, like, my nose is kind of stopped up too. All right, we did get our breakdown too, because like with this day trading system, I designated to ranges, right? So here's a range right here, just to give you an example. And so the trigger for this trade was, hey, we broke underneath this. It's time to short. Maybe we'll hold this area as resistance and ride it down. And so that's what we looked at. That's what we caught. And then if we got down to 250, maybe we can bounce it, but we got down to 253s. I also look at a range around the levels. Like, I don't have to be strict with the levels. I look at like a reasonable range around it to attack, because sometimes we don't hit it exactly, and sometimes if I have to wait for exactly the right level, we're going to end up missing it anyway. If that makes sense, right? So I just look at a range around the spot. Yeah, we got consumer sentiment here too. All right, we're trying to bounce off of 250. Instead, we're just ripping underneath it here, ripping underneath it. All right, so we did end up breaking under 250 here. The next level I have is like 240 or so. Really, it's about right here. A little added confirmation. We got 225 down here at 19s. Big level is probably 19,000, but yeah, so again, just to put this into perspective regarding China, this is the second day consecutively where China denied trade talks with the U.S. Current president Trump continues to claim that trade discussions are ongoing. China basically comes around and says, nope, that's not happening. Which one do you think is true? I really don't know, honestly. It's hard to figure out. The president also said he's made 200 tariff deals and that everything will be done in the next few weeks, according to ABC News. See, do I want to buy this now? Kind of. Am I going to regret not buying 250 here? Here's 250. It's an example of a trade I would normally take, buying 250 here. And look at the bounce. Like, look at the retracement back up. And this is how you attack levels. I usually don't like retests, though, so. Yep. Truth is always in the middle, yeah. Yeah, so we did get that bounce right at 250s. Look at that. And to get ready to get prepared for the University of Michigan remarks here this morning. We do have University of Michigan consumer sentiment and inflation expectations today. Still testing 250. Look at that bond yields this morning too. Trade deals typically take a while. I think eventually we're going to get it done. I hope we do at least. Like, I'm optimistic that we do. Right? Like, I'm optimistic that we do. We'll see. Again, we got to take a look at Palantir, I think, as well up here. Hold on, let me find. All right, so the president's administration reportedly pressures Europe to reject AI rulebook, according to Bloomberg. Look, where's Palantir at? So here's Palantir. Palantir's still green, but pretty flat right now. All right, so here's that retest of 250. Now we're under 250. Let's watch 240s. I've got one at like 240, 238, although I'm not really confident in this level. All right, looking at our poll numbers, we asked people 3 different options. We said, is the bull market back or do we reverse down next week? 42% say the bull market is back. 32% say we reverse down, and 26% say Chop City. Yeah, the bots are back. Ignore any of these crypto scammers here, guys. You get crypto scammers. All right, so here's the dip. Look, here's 240. And there's the pop. Look at that bounce right at 240. Look at that. Doesn't mean it's going to hold, but at least it makes a pit stop there, which gives me confidence in my levels. Here's the second test. Interesting, man. Now we got this isolated low down here. Another part of my like system is isolation. And so here is yeah, so look, again, where did we bounce, guys? Listen. You guys heard me talk about it before we even came to this level. Look at this. Where did we bounce? We bounced at 240. And this is why the system has been so profitable, is because, like, if I can predict these levels, I at least got a couple ticks. Like, look, so what is this? This is 10 ticks. Small little move, but a 10 tick trade's a good trade if I can, you know, catch it. So, very interesting. Interesting. And again, this is the system I built. Like, look, I could even show you, like, this is my stats in this account that I'm trading. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My good days is very good. My small days are small, but that's all right because we still make money. And so it's been very good, honestly, in this account. This is a different account. This is not my main, like, we're green in this account total, but it's not the account that I'm the most green on. There's another account where I'm up much more than this one. So, and again, what I do is I take risks. If the risks don't work, I slow it down, and you know, scale down our size and keep attacking. Ugh. Bond yields, again, down a little bit, down to 4.26% here, 4.26%. We're watching those. Palantir's testing the previous closing price, but it's still up a lot. See, now we're over 250 again. Very choppy market, though, right now. Very chop. See if we hold at 250 now, or we come back down to test 240s. Yeah, that's what I think, 2K. I think that makes sense, right? I don't think they want to talk right now necessarily. I think they want to wait. Yeah, I think they want to wait. Yeah, so the big news is the China news. You can see it scrolling at the top of the page. Market is honestly pretty flat. We're green. We're pretty green on the day. As long as I'm not sick, which I'm going to put it out there. I'm not sick. I'm going to feel great in an hour. Everything's going to be fine. Positive thoughts. Positive thoughts. Apparently my daughter spiked a fever today, so wish me luck there. But I think something I'm going to do over this weekend is I'm going to go get a touch screen and install it somewhere in my office so that if I want to really explain something, I can stand up, pivot to that touch screen and do kind of like a media thing. I think that'll be cool. So that's what I'm planning to do now. We'll see how it goes. All right, remember though, guys, another thing to consider is that the Fed starts their blackout period tomorrow into May 7th. So starting tomorrow, Feds ain't going to be speaking like they have been. All right, so here's the second test of 240. Again, I do not like the second test as much when we test these type of levels. I do not like the second test as much. Why do I not like the second test as much? Because a lot of the time we will test a level, bounce, continue down. And so it's much less common, I think, for us to bounce twice at these levels. Sometimes it can happen, though. It's not like nothing's definitive. Like anything can happen in movements, but it's less common. And so I tend to attack the retests of confirmed levels less. So I hope that makes sense. But the retest worked, honestly, here too. Look at this. 240s. Makes the level much more valid, so a lot more people are going to be paying attention to it now. But here's the third test of it. Like, I'm also building a support and resistance script around support and resistance. I'm not going to give too much detail into it, but I build a support and resistance script. I'm still kind of building off of it though, but look how well these levels hold. These are automatically generated levels on TradingView, and there's the break under 240. So yeah, look at that red flush all the way down to under 225. We just tapped 220 here, which was the low of the. Is this the low of the day? Hold on, let me see. Yeah, low of the day. We just tapped it. We're testing lows of the day in the NASDAQ here. Yeah, this is why I tell you guys I do not attack retests, because they're just sketchy. They're sketchy. We got Michigan consumer sentiment and inflation. 10 a.m. We got Michigan consumer sentiment, guys. That's a huge report. Look at this big pop. All the way back up to 250s. Palantir just went red on the day. Is there something happened here? I'm trying to dig deeper to see if there's any news. Okay, so Lagarde is speaking right now. She said downside risks to economic growth have increased. Euro area is building up resilience against global shocks. Labor market remains resilient. Trade deals are going well, according to Trump. Okay, guys, so for today's conflicting news report, we have this going down right now. Trump says trade deals are going well, end quote. Trump. Again, I'm not saying I agree or disagree. I don't know. President Lagarde in the ECB says global inflation is projected to gradually decline, according to an IMFC statement. He said Russia and Ukraine are coming along, according to the president. Effective Fed funds rate still 4.33%, 4.33%. So look at this volatility here, man. Very choppy, very sideways day. It's Friday. We got Michigan inflation expectations and consumer sentiment data. See, now we're over 250, so we have like a range right here. I want to be optimistic, but I'm also a little nervous about the direction here, so I think I just got to sit tight and wait. We got 25 minutes until the market opens. Intel had earnings yesterday. They didn't like the earnings. Hey, bud. Love you, buddy. Have a good day, dude. I love you, buddy. I would give you a bigger hug, dude. Honestly, my nose is kind of stopped up, and Maddie's not feeling good, so I love you, bud. You feeling okay? All right. Hey, wait, come here. Do not take this as an opportunity to try to come home. No. Okay, love you. Love you. Have a good day, bud. Okay. Yeah, we'll see if he actually did, though. He said, quote, President says, quote, we will end up with lots of good deals. Tariff plan is going very well. We're very close to a deal with Japan. Lagarde says inflation is expected to hover around the 2% target. And the president also said, I spoke with China's Xi just now. Am I pronouncing that right? Or she? All right, so it's Xi Jinping. Xi Jinping is how you pronounce it. Sorry. So Xi, Chinese President Xi, did say earlier that they haven't spoken. So we'll see if they're actually speaking now. And again, look at the market pop up on that news catalyst. It's hard to, y'all be careful today, man. Market's kind of iffy, weird. Yeah, very strange. All right, so Trump just ended his remarks to reporters. Lagarde says the disinflation process is well on track. Again, he basically said deals are going very well, close to a deal with Japan. He spoke with President Xi with China. He spoke to the Chinese president, is what he's saying. Lagarde basically said inflation is expected to hover around 2%. Downside risks to economic growth have increased. Whew. What a market, guys, honestly. I kind of want to buy this, but I'll try. It's a little greedy of me maybe, but we got a cushion that we can take some larger trades. I'll add down. All right, we're going to take a risk of 3 contracts right now. We've built up a cushion already. I'm hoping we bounce at 250. There we go. All right, we took some off. We could be a little bit looser with the rest now. Come on. So stagnating here, man. There's like no... We're still technically green from this too, but like not very green now. The good news is that we can hold this pretty much flat if we want to get out. If it's not looking in our favor. I want to see if we bounce here at 250 though. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and cut this here. Very small little baby gain there, but slow, steady gains here. We're building up a small cushion first before we take larger risk is what we're doing. And we will be taking larger risk at the opening bell. Up about $100 on the day. Slow, gradual, but good. You know, we'll take it. Tiny little trades, though. Was there another one? Yeah, just remember, be smart about those crypto bots, bro. They will get you if you're not smart. Anything that somebody randomly promotes in chat, don't listen. Most people recognize it. And again, they're literally trying to just catch, like, the naive of the naive with these things. You know what I mean? Like, they're just trying to catch naive traders. Scammers pay for it. I've got tons of levels. These are short-term levels. The thing to understand about my levels is the scalping system. Like, there's short-term levels, very small levels. Again, we do have... you know, we got a couple things that we're looking at. Nice, dude. Honestly, I've built this tiny little momentum indicator. I'll have to show you guys this later on. And you can kind of see, like, again, we attack these ranges. So, like, now that we're over, we have this window of range to attack. Right? So, usually, like, what we do is if we break over it, pull back, I'll try to buy the dip, ride it back up to test the top. If that makes sense, right? Like, does that make sense? Like, that's the system I'm using. Yeah, that's the system I use. Works pretty well. Yeah, so we got the University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment and Inflation Report going live. Ooh. In about 50 minutes. We'll put a timer up pretty soon here. Again, Palantir has some pretty good news. All right, so look, here's 280s. Again, we're within that range of the level here. Like, look, same thing. There's the range of the level. Doesn't mean it's gonna hold either, so I would just be careful. But So we got the University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment and Inflation Expectation Report going live in get about 45 minutes right now. We'll put a timer up on screen. Here's the timer. Let me find a place for it. Here we go. All right, look at that rejection at 280 here. See, the 200 exponential is right there at 290 as well. So let's see if it holds down. Who do you think the next inflation or the next chairman will be, Jonathan? I look at a mix of everything. I look at ranges is what it really looks at. I draw levels, I attack levels, and I look at ranges. Okay, examples of this range. Again, I've said this before. Here's a range where we go down, we get a quick retracement back over 250. I can buy that dip, attack the top of the range, which we just hit. Right? I didn't really get this one, or you could do it on the bottom. An example of this is like, hey, we dip underneath this level, pull back to it. I short here, look for a range, move back down to here, cover at the bottom, right? Like I'm attacking ranges and I'm looking for milestone levels, isolation levels, confirmation levels, and I'm attacking those. That's what I'm doing. Bitcoin did pull back a little bit. Palantir slightly green. We also have to question, like, we're hitting the 200 exponential now. So here's the 200 EMA literally right here. So this could cause a rejection right here too. Like, look, it's right here. It might not. I'm not saying it will. We also have 300 above us. But this level right here could cause a rejection. Let's see if it does. Do you really think that? So yeah, Bitcoin's still sitting. Yeah, we still got 13 minutes until the market opens, 45 minutes. So look at this level. So this level did reject. So again, like, you got to know what might reject a level or not. Like, what might hold as a level. And I think if you look at this here, we just talked about this. Like, look. And so, again, a trade strategy could be, look, we retrace back to this 280 level, ride it back down a little bit. I can't even guarantee that's going to work, of course. Nobody can. I'm not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose. You might not even get that opportunity. But at this point, the 200 exponential respected a lot. Look at that. That's why I watch it on a 1 minute chart heavily, because it can really be like a spot, like a zone on that chart to hyper focus on, if that makes sense. And again, maybe it doesn't give us that. Maybe it retests this 200 EMA and just continues its way up. I really don't know. Nothing's perfect. I'm not going to be right every time about a level, but if I'm right 50, 60% of the time, I can still make money. Thank you, Jay. Yeah, no, it just ripped right up to over 280. So, I mean, and again, that's going to happen. Like, look, it's already respected this 280 level. Here, here, here. And then it really stopped. But it's already respected it 2 or 3 times. And for me, it's also kind of like a sentiment level. So it's not going to respect every one. You know, it really respected 240 a lot as well. Like, look, here's 240. Here. And so 225. You know. Here. Next one's 300, which is right here. Okay, so Andre was a bot. It hurts, Andre. It hurts that you did that to me. So he was talking, the president spoke about 15 minutes ago, but he's not speaking right now. I think starting tomorrow. It's weird, like the Federal Reserve will see next week's calendar of events. And then I go check the calendar thinking they like added something. And literally nothing's going on, bro. Literally nothing. Look at the Fed minutes report May 28th. Fed meeting on the May 7th. And literally nothing else. All right, guys, 9 minutes. Yeah, we're still hitting that 200 exponential. Tesla's still green though, man. Up 260s. All right, so Wapo Stein says, quote, the Indians in the U.S. are making real progress towards an agreement of some kind. The latest I heard is that the U.S. wants lower Indian tariffs on U.S. agricultural exports in particular and to scrap some of the clean energy work. AbbVie is also investing over $10 billion of capital in the U.S. to support expansion into areas such as obesity via a conference call. All right, we got bond yields again down to 4.27%. We got the University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment and Inflation Report in less than 40 minutes here. Google beats 70 billion buyback yesterday. Intel guidance down. Schwab upgraded too, though. So Palantir's been ripping back up. It's over 107 still. Technically green on the day. Amazon's green. Disney's slightly green. Tesla green. Nvidia green. Although a lot of stuff's flat overnight, to be honest. I'm sorry, I do not know what I'm listening to. All right, there's certain times you're the most successful. I would say early pre-market and after the opening bell. Let's see if 280 holds on the upside now, though. Yeah, look at that. 25% think chop city, 42% think bull market back, 33% think reverse down, 25% think chop city. I did go to jiu-jitsu yesterday. Yes, I did. I'm not going today, though. Too much iffiness in my household. All right, guys, we got the opening bell in 6 minutes here. 6 minutes, chat. All right, Tesla up to 262s. Almost at 19.3s here. Look at the nasdaq. So look at this level hold too. Again, same thing, range around the level. Look at that. I kind of want to buy the dip, but this looks strong leading into the opening bell. The problem is we're 5 minutes ahead of the open here, so that's a risk. No, I'm definitely not going today. I just don't feel 100% today. I don't feel like getting sick. My nose is all stopped up too. All right, so here's 299, 300, the level. And now this time we just tapped exactly off of it. Bond yield still down to 4.27%. All right, now we're finally getting over it. See, I got a range of levels here that I have to document on the charts now. So we're going to start drawing some. There's 350. Small little tick increments here. That's what we're looking at. All right, guys, we got 3 minutes left. 3 minutes. SoFi breaking out. Palantir up a little bit too. We're now over the 200 exponential. We're looking even more optimistic than we were yesterday. Nvidia pushing up to 107s too, kind of dragging everything else up with us. Again, remember, guys, that about 30 minutes we got the University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Inflation Report. So we're going to stick around at least till that. All right, guys. Opening bell's almost here. We got 2 minutes. 2 minutes. See, if this is the level now, we might actually... Yeah, I think we got to look at 305s. Here's the 200 EMA right here, too. At 290. All right, guys. Y'all be careful. We got a little cushion on the day, though. We do have a little cushion on the day. We'll see if we can keep it. Yeah, I don't think anybody's arguing that you're a short biased person, Kevin. Literally almost everything you say is short biased, you know. But there is such a thing as too short biased, and that's what people have to understand. Like, a lot of the people that have gotten kind of weird with me over the years are people who missed out on some of the huge gains that the market has made over the past 5 years because they were so short biased, they were so hyper focused on shorts that they missed out on the biggest statistical edge the market gives you, which is on the long side, of course. It's fine to be short term. Long term, market's going to go up. And so as long as you can recognize that, you know, I'm okay with being short as long as it's not overly short. Yeah, we got the University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment at 10. 5 seconds, guys, 5 seconds. We did bounce right off of that 200 EMA here, too. Here's 305s. All right, there's the bell. Look at the green. Wow. Green at the opening bell here. Palantir's also falling down a little bit here too, man. Look at this. Nvidia down to 106.60s. SPY at 540s. I gotta let some of this settle. This is too much volatility for me to really ride up or down, I think. I would buy this up, but it's the open, so I'm not really going to mess with this. We're 1 minute into the day. Look at that retracement here. Tesla up to 263s. Nvidia all the way down to 106. Apple at 207s. Up. So Apple up since the opening bell. Nvidia down since the open. Tesla up since the open. Google is slightly down, but not much. Meta, a lot of stuff going green right now. Meta's flat, mostly. Netflix is kind of flat. Amazon's red since the open. Nice to look, there's 305s. I would buy. Look at Palantir. So Palantir just fell, technically red on the day. Palantir down under 108s. It's at 106s now. Yeah, it's the opening bell, guys. Y'all just be careful. A lot of volatility, to be honest, right now. Microsoft green. All right, so getting some deep red showing up in markets. All right, we're short. First trade since the open. All right, we're out. Very quick little scalp. We'll see if we can get some risk here. We're so close to the opening bell, though. I'm still trying to let the open play out. We're 3 minutes into the day. If we bounce up to 280s, we might short it. Short. I don't like that. We're out. Yep. Looks like it was a good move to exit. Too much strength showing up. We're right at that 200 EMA here, too. Right back up to threes. Wow. Strength showing up in markets. All right, so a U.S. Trade Representative Greer says he had a productive meeting with South Korean counterparts on trade. Both sides agreed to engage in technical talks next week. Markets are surging back up here, guys. Surging. Yeah, so that might be what it is. All the way back up. Over 200 exponential. If we get a pullback, I'll buy it, of course, but... Ah, I didn't get it. I didn't get it. We'll add to this, though, to be honest. We got a little room. It's volatile right now, though, guys. Y'all be careful, man. All right, we got out. We're actually green in the last few trades, too, but we hit 325. We got to respect our levels here on our charts. about to run into 350. Again, guys, remember we got Michigan inflation expectations and consumer sentiment 10 a.m. today. We are going to stream this live. We're not really at the highs of the day yet. The highs of the day look to be somewhere around 19.5s. So we got a long ways up to go. All right, look, here's 350. We're going to jump in this. See if we retrace back up there quickly. Add to this. Take a little swing. I'm going to take half off there, protect the trade, to be honest. I don't like the retracement. It's a little bit too strong. Might fake me out, but that's all right. That's taking too long. So we lost $15 there. We will buy a dip, though. Honestly, I'm kind of just worried about a dump back down, but could have made money on the trade. We just tapped 350 again. I don't really like retest of levels, though, but maybe that means I can attack it again. Try this again. Maybe I'm being a little greedy jumping back in it, but all right, we are out. We just made our money right back. So stubborn, but green nonetheless. Now we're over this level too. We need a large dip though. Like I'll attack 325s, but we need a dip all the way back down there for me to get it. We need like deeper value here, if that makes sense. And it might keep running up. I just have to wait for it. Meta, break it down. Palantir going red. Nvidia still popping up, though. It's up to almost 108s. 107.50s right now. Microsoft, 388s. Green. Netflix green. Meta really red for some reason. Wait, who just banned? Wait. Who deleted the message? Sam? Who did it say deleted it? Pawn, why'd you delete Sam? Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, gotcha. I was like, why are you banning him? Okay, no. Sam asked to be banned, just to put that into perspective. It's all good. All right, we're waiting for some edge. We're about 8 minutes into the day here. We're pretty green. We're up about $100. We're up $100. We've already got our 5 green profitable days on this one, so we're just waiting to build up enough profit to withdraw. Gotcha. Yeah, all good. I don't know, man. I kind of need a larger pullback to attack here. I don't really want to attack upside. We're too up. Downside. Too against the momentum. Tesla just ripped up, broke highs again, though. So if there is a side, I would go up. But I'm not telling you to buy. But Tesla just broke highs. 264. Market open highs, that is. Let's see if we get 325s here. 325s. And again, if you want to check out Top Step, they give you a 50K demo. They test your skill with it. If you pass the test, they fund you. If you fail, you only lose what you pay for it. In this case, the base one's $50. It's not the end of the world if you fail. If you pass it, you get a 50K funded account, 90% split, and they pay out millions, fund thousands. Great way to learn. Very cheap. It's a structured environment to learn trading. That's why these funded account programs are useful, is because they give you a structured environment to learn. And that just makes sense, learning how to trade. I'll put the link up here and I'll pin it to the top of the page. All right, retesting 350s. They get Tesla up to 265s right now, 265s. All right, so we got over 350. Still climbing here. Don't want to buy this. No, I don't think so. I'll buy this one though. I'll hold the rest break even probably. It's a big retracement down. As long as it's not catalyst related, I'm okay with holding this, but oof, gotta cut it. All right, so we lost $25 there, so $25. We also could hold it to 325s. I'm too worried of a turnaround here, though. All right, guys, we got 19 minutes left. See if, hope we don't turn back around here. All right, now we're coming all the way back down here. Weird. All right, so we're still dipping back down. We got 305s we can maybe try. I'll try it. Ooh, what a dip. We'll try to take a little bit precautious position. I just hope we bounce here. Oof. I'm going to take half off just to protect it. Little bitty trade, but man, just so much red showing up real quick, man. We're still green on both of our accounts, but we're less green on this one. Hitting that 200 EMA again. I don't really trust this now, though, to be honest. Maybe I should have. That 200 EMA worked. We did really good at the opening bell, build up a cushion. We're running out of that cushion, though. We're still up. We're still up. Don't get me wrong, but I'll try to buy this. See if we get a pop back up. Yeah, I don't like this at all. So yeah, we're still green on the day. I'm gonna switch accounts. We've been trying to attack. I mean, we're green on both accounts. Don't get me wrong, but man, just not what we wanted today. Not what we wanted. Let's short this. Ugh, just getting faked out left and right this morning. We do have the Michigan data coming live though, and again, the momentum is still on the red side. I'm gonna reduce my size a little bit to protect it. There we go. Better. There we go. Took half off, but didn't really get a good fill there. And now we're starting to retrace back down. So we're kind of flat on this position. We're also kind of flat here. I'm going to go ahead and cut this. Basically a completely flat position. We get the bounce at the 200 EMA. Look at Palantir start to head back up. All right, guys, we got 15 minutes until the Michigan consumer sentiment and inflation data comes out. 15 minutes. Look at that green. Wow. Whoa. Let me check the news. This is weird. Price action. A lot of chop. If we get down to 305s, we'll buy it, but I'm also a little apprehensive about it. All right, we'll try to buy this. Let it test. Man. All right. This price action is not good at all. I mean, I'm still green on both accounts, just to clarify, but now they're much smaller wins. We're up about 40 bucks in each of them. Maybe a little, like one of them we're up a little bit less than that, but we're still green. Just look, you can see the green at the top. My other account is here, and it's green too, but just not easy to make money in this price action. Like, you have a big move up that looks like it's gonna cause some green action to continue, and then we just go up and then dump back down, and then we go down and then rip back up, and so it's just kind of stopping people out. It's Chop City today. I would be careful. Maybe the market's waiting for the University of Michigan data. That's possible. I'm just glad I'm green, but it's very difficult to make money in this price action today. In my opinion, it's not easy at all. Kind of a very weird. I mean, I think the momentum's downward now, but I think a lot of stuff is also sideways on the day. So all right, guys, we got 11 minutes. 11 minutes. Do I want to buy the bottom of the range, maybe? Probably not. But if we continue sideways for the next 10 minutes leading into the Michigan data, there might be some validity in buying the bottom here, but I don't know. I have two funded accounts. They're both green. Palantir is still trying to hold here. We got less than 10 minutes before this Michigan data goes live. Hey, we got consumer sentiment inflation data going live at 10, so just be ready. It's not small. The one I'm really paying attention to for this is the inflation expectations. Again, I talked about this before, but when we take a look at the inflation expectations today, right? So let's take a look. So today we have the consumer sentiment data, but what they don't tell you is we also have inflation expectational data going live as well, right? And so we got the consumer sentiment. You can kind of see it's expected at 50.8. But another part of this report is inflation expectation data here. So last time, the University of Michigan said the 1-year inflation expectations were 5%. Today, they're expected to show up at 6.7%. Again, this is 1-year inflation expectations. They're saying the 5-year inflation expectations. Last time, they showed 4.1% 5-year inflation expectations. Today, they are expecting 4.4%. 4.4%. It's not small. It's not small. And I'm glad I didn't buy the bottom of this range here because the market's looking kind of weak ahead of this report. You know, what I worry about is that the inflation data shows weak and then the whole market panics and like turns and gets weak and everybody panics. That's what I'm worried about today, to be honest. So we'll see. But that's what I'm worried about. The inflation expectations come out worse. Market goes down, drags everything else down with us. So we got a little cushion that we can attack on, a little cushion that we can trade with. You know, we are back to green. Like, here's our main account that we've been trading on all day. We're up $50 or so, give or take. 7 minutes left. We'll see if this report moves things. Tesla break it down onto the 200 exponential. A lot of stuff still looking very weak, though. So just be careful, guys. A lot of stuff still looking a little sketchy, in all honesty. Yeah, I had a pop shield. I can reduce the volume a little bit as well, though. But yeah, you're probably right. All right, we're still falling down some. Six minutes left. Was there a tweet? Let's see. I don't think so. 6 minutes left. All right, guys. So 5 minutes left. 5 minutes left. We are bouncing right around 240, a previous historical support and resistance level we got on our chart. We're now over 250s. Do I want to buy this? I don't know, man. Maybe I should have bought it. There's the move. Again, a very common strategy I will use is very simple. Confirm a support or resistance area, get back up over another short one, buy the pullback to it here, and then ride the bounce back up. That's why I said, like, do I want to buy this level? These are a very common strategy I use. Very common. Should have bought it, but... All right, guys, 4 minutes left. 4 minutes left. Will the market hold? There's 280, tapping 280 again. And these give me really good like profit targets. Because like, look, you can see how much it respects it. Even if it continues over it, we got the 200 EMA up there. I don't really want to touch that or mess with that as we lead into it. We got 3.5 minutes left, so I'm probably not going to take any trades at least until this data is out. Then we might take a couple trades based off of the profit we have on the day, and if we end up giving that back, you know, we'll cut the day break even. I think the 5-minute candle can be better than the 1 minute. It just depends. Depends on your style. All right, look at Palantir start to creep up. It's at 108.50s. 108.50s. Palantir getting ready to break the highs of pre-market, or the highs of the market open. Highs of market hours for Palantir. It's getting up there. A lot of stuff's bouncing back. Tesla back up to 263s. Nvidia back up to 106.70s. Apple still pulling back, though. Google bouncing up a little bit. Netflix bouncing up a little bit. So, and you can kind of see why I leave these levels. Like, look at 280. All right, chat. We got 2 minutes. Netflix almost green on the day, though. Netflix is coming back alive here. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if it's going to move markets. We're just covering economic reports as we do here. Yeah, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, guys. We appreciate the love. Thanks so much. All right, so we ripped over 280 for a second. Now we're coming back down. Very choppy action. Less than 1 minute, guys. We got less than a minute. Again, I don't know if this is going to move markets, right? I know next week we got a whole gang of reports coming out. Next week's going to be crazy. Bond yield's still decreasing today. Next week we got something every freaking day, honestly. Jolts. We got Jolts on Tuesday, Thursday, and Wednesday next week's freaking crazy. All right, guys, we got 20 seconds. 20 seconds. Here we go. All right, this timer's a little bit early. We got 5 seconds left. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, look at the market pop. Michigan inflation expectations lower than expected for 1 year. They came in at 6.5%. Consumer sentiment stronger than expected. 52.2 versus 50.8. Stronger than expected consumer sentiment. Inflation expectations actually decreased. 1 year went down to 6.5 versus 6.7% expected here. And the market liked it, guys. Look at this pop in markets. Again, 325. NASDAQ's coming back alive. Stronger consumer sentiment. Again, I'll put this data up on screen so you can see it because people have been telling me I've been slacking on this. But again, Michigan inflation expectations stronger than expected for the economy. Stronger than expected for consumer sentiment. And yeah. $52.2 versus 50.8. Expected. lower 1 year inflation expectations versus expected. 5 year came in as expected. So this is basically a rundown of this report here, chat. Let me make sure. Here, so again, we're trying to fix this report. There you go. So here's the inflation expectations on the screen. This data right here on the left side just caused this big surge in markets right now. This data right here just caused this big surge in markets. You can see NASDAQ, S&P, Netflix, a lot of stuff popped up. Stronger consumer sentiment, current conditions showed up at 59.8 versus 56.5. Current consumer expectations 47.3. So just stronger data here, guys. Stronger data. 50.8. Our consumer sentiment showed up stronger than expected as well. Consumer sentiment showed up at 52.2 versus 50.8. 57 last time. So a little bit weaker than last time, but stronger than expected. Markets are surging up, though. The question is, do we continue chopping for the rest of the day? But again, this data right here is why the market reacted positively to today. This data right here. Yeah, I mean, so just to put this into perspective, right? And that's why I told you, I don't know if this is going to move markets. Apparently it did. You got a lot of people that are like, oh, it's not going to move markets. That's a pretty big green candle. Netflix just broke highs at over 1,100. The thing to understand right now is that because of the tariff fears, I think the market fears both inflation and economic weakness. And so I think Michigan consumer sentiment showing up noticeably stronger at 52.2 versus 50.8 expected. 1 year inflation expectations came in lower. So lower 1 year inflation expectations versus expected, and 5 year inflation expectations as expected. I think it's an optimistic thing. We're going to try to buy this dip. I'd love to see the green market here, but we'll add to it. See if we get a retracement back up, but we got a cushion on the day that we can play with, but it's not the biggest one. Sometimes the first move is the wrong move, and I might be getting stuck in that right now. We're going to have to cut it. So now we're technically red in this one on the day, huh? Let me see. Yep. It's all right. We'll switch accounts. Again, I'm not going to play with this too much here. So we actually did catch that dip again at 305s. The market did surge right back up here at 3s. So we did catch the dip. We're back up to about 100 in that last account that we were like, look, I'll show you. Look, so here's that last account. We made 29, 14, 16, 14, and 5. So we did end up green, but not super green on the day. I will attack this retracement back up too. I got to be careful though, but I will attack this retracement. 3 contracts. We got a cushion now that we can swing into. Come on, pop back up. I swear, I'm so back and forth today. There we go. All right, we took half off there. There we go. We'll take another piece. Maybe add back to this. Hold the rest, break even here on the rest. I'd love 325s up there. We'll add to this. Don't you retrace back down. I'll take half off there. I gotta just take it. And we'll get out the rest here before it retraces back down. Yeah, we're up $100 or so at the day. We got a cushion. We got a cushion to attack. We'll see. Don't want to attack this again. Should have bought that dip again. All right, we're creeping up to almost 340s. Let's watch 350s. We'll make this a little bit smaller now that the data's already out. Look at that creep up. Let's watch 350s. Now we're breaking highs up here. See if we get a liquidity grab of some sort. Yeah, both accounts are up about 100. Look at this rip back up, testing highs again. So I got one account that I could get a payout on Top Step. Where do I process that? Okay, there it is. We got deflation last time. Palantir rip it up. Look at these moves here. So again, we got some other levels. Watch 19.4 right now. We're gonna have to redraw some levels. Watch 19.4 up here. 19.4 I know is a resistance level that I've used previously. I'm also looking at like 450. All right, so we're still ripping up here. I don't know what I want to do here. I don't like want to let it pull back some, baby. It's trying. There's a rip. Look at this huge rip in markets, guys. Wow. I'm going to try shorting this, but it's a risky short. It's kind of attacking wrong momentum, but I want to see if we retrace down to like 375s or so. Small little micro position. There we go. All right, I'm out. We just made about $40 again, or $30. IONQ announces a $22 million deal to develop Quantum Innovation Center in EPB. All right, so again, guys, on this account, we're up about 118 or so, 118. I'm probably just going to go ahead and get out of here. Y'all have a safe weekend. All right, listen, again, if you want to check out Top Step, it's pinned at the top of the chat. Great way to help support your boy here in this channel. There's no PDT in futures. You can day trade the S&P, the Dow, the NASDAQ, the Russell, gold, some currencies. No PDT in futures. They give you a 50K demo. They test your skill with it. If you pass the test, they fund you. If you fail, you only lose what you pay for it. In this case, the base one's $49. It's not the end of the world. So I'm going to be doing a withdrawal from them too, starting on I might have to wait until Monday to do it, but hey, I'll see you guys later. Y'all be good. Have a great day. I love y'all. Y'all have a safe day. And yeah, market's ripping up. Hey, tomorrow or next week, we got craziness. Honestly, absolute freaking craziness. The stock that's running today, just to put this into perspective here, chat. Like, let's talk about it for a second. The stock that's running right now. Palantir, number one, flying up. Look at, let me fix my charts here. Sorry. Palantir, flying up. Tesla, ridiculous right now. 270s for Tesla. Crazy high, flying, looks good. I love you all. You have a great day. Next week, JOLTS, job openings, non-farm payrolls, unemployment, GDP data, PCE data, Microsoft earnings, Amazon earnings, Apple earnings, and more. Be ready. Next week is a freaking ridiculous week. Y'all be careful. Have a great day.